Hey guys, we are going to be doing section 5 today, which is on equations and problem solving. So the objective is to define a variable in terms of another variable and to also model distance, rate, time problems. So the first thing we're going to look at is defining one variable in terms of another. This is so we can set up equations to be able to solve for things. And all this means is it says the width of a rectangle is 2 centimeters less than its length. The perimeter of the rectangle is 16 centimeters. What is the length of the rectangle? So if you think about this, I just draw a rectangle here for a second. Remember, the perimeter is the distance around the outside. And it's telling you that the width of the rectangle is 2 centimeters less than its length. So first of all, let's just define either the width or the length. So I'm going to say that the length is going to be L. That's a cursive L, so I don't confuse it with the number 1. So now what I can do is it says the width of a rectangle is 2 centimeters less than its length. So if the length is L, my width here is going to be L minus 2, because it's 2 centimeters less than its length. So the width is being defined in terms of the length there. And so don't forget, the perimeter is 2 times the width plus 2 times the length, and that's what equals the perimeter. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just plug in for my width and plug in for my length. And so we know the width here is L minus 2, and we know the length is just L. So I'm going to do 2 times L minus 2 plus 2 times my L, and that equals the perimeter, which up here it tells me is 16 centimeters. And so now I just have a multi-step equation that I need to solve. So don't forget, we need to distribute first. So that's going to become 2L minus 4 plus 2L equals 16. Which then leaves me 4L minus 4 equals 16. And I'm just going to kind of move up here so I have more room. I didn't leave a whole lot of space here. So now I'm down to a 2-step equation, so I'm going to add 4 to both sides to get 4L equals 20. Divide by 4. So the length is equal to 5. Or L is equal to 5. And so let's just go back up and make sure that we answer the question that it's asking, because this is kind of a common mistake sometimes. The question is asking, what is the length of the rectangle? And the length of the rectangle is right here, except for we're going to label it as 5 centimeters. Okay? So if you look at this next example, it says the width of a rectangle is 3 inches less than its length. The perimeter of the rectangle is 26 inches. What is the width of the rectangle? So again, here's my rectangle, and it says the width of a rectangle is 3 inches less than its length. So again, I'm going to start by defining the length as L. So the width is 3 inches less than its length. So this would be L minus 3. Don't forget, your perimeter is 2 times the width plus 2 times the length, and that's equal to the perimeter. So this is going to be 2 times L minus 3 plus 2 times the length, and this is equal to the perimeter, which is 26 this time. I'm going to distribute 2L minus 6 plus 2L equals 26. I'm going to combine my like terms, which is this 2L and 2L. So to get 4L minus 6 equals 26 plus 6. I'm going to have 4L is equal to 32. If I divide by 4, I'm going to get L is equal to 8. Again, we're going to go back up and look at the question that it's asking us, which in this case it's asking us what is the width of the rectangle. So does this give me the width? The answer to that is no, because the width is your L minus 3. So we need to do 8 minus 3 to get 5 inches. I will say this too, just going back up to here, let's just say that I started by labeling the width as W, and here it says the width of a rectangle is 3 inches less than its length, so the length here would have been W plus 3. If you were to substitute that into the equation, you would have gotten the same exact answer. So it doesn't matter which way you go as long as you just follow the directions that it's giving you. Another example of this is consecutive integer problems. So consecutive integers are like 4, 5, 6, or -3, -2, -1. They're 3 numbers all in a row. And so what this problem does actually is kind of walks you through the process. So it says the sum of 3 consecutive numbers is 48. So it says define a variable for one of the integers. So I'm just going to say one of the integers is n. Then it says write expressions for the other 2 integers. And so if they're consecutive, the next one would have to be n plus 1. And then the next one would be n plus 2. The reason why is because if you think about this for a second, I'm going to write this in blue, but if I have the numbers 1, 2, and 3, those are consecutive integers. If I said 1 was n, well, 2 would be n plus 1, and this 3 right here, would be n plus 2. Okay? And so the last piece here, now it says write and solve an equation to find the 3 integers. So remember the sum is the answer to an addition problem. And so it's going to be n plus n plus 1 plus n plus 2. Here's my first integer, my second integer, and my third integer. And the sum of those together is equal to 48. So now I have this multi-step equation again that I can solve in order to find out what the 3 consecutive numbers are. The first thing I'm going to do is combine my like terms. I have an n, and I have an n, and I have an n. So if I combine those all together, that's going to be 3n. And then I also have a plus 1 and a plus 2. So that's going to be plus 3, and that equals 48. From here, I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides to get 3n is equal to 45. I'm going to divide by 3 to get n is equal to 15. So if n is 15, n plus 1 would be 16, and n plus 2 would be 17. This right here is my 3 consecutive integers. And if you add those together, it should equal 48, right? And it does. So this next one says the sum of 3 consecutive odd integers is 315. So what that means is 3 consecutive odd integers would be like 1, 3, and 5, or -11, -9, and -7. And so there are 3 numbers, 3 odd numbers all in a row. Okay? So the first thing we want to do is just like up top, if I go back up here, define a variable for one of the integers. So I'm going to say it's n. Now we need to define a variable, write expressions for the other 2 integers. And so in this case, though, it's not going to be n plus 1. It's going to be n plus 2 and n plus 4. And the reason why is because if you had 1, 3, and 5, there's your n, here's your n plus 2, and here's your n plus 4. Because here's your 1, 1 plus 2 is 3, and 1 plus 4 is your 5. So again, it's talking about the sum. So we're going to add these together. So it's going to be n plus 2 plus n plus 4 is equal to 315. We're going to combine our like terms. Well, we have 3 n's here, and then we have a positive 2 and a positive 4. So plus 6 is equal to 315. I'm going to subtract 6 on both sides. 3n is equal to 309. Divide by 3 on both sides to get, give myself a little bit more room. N is equal to 103. So this n plus 2 is 105, and then n plus 4 would be 107. These would be my 3 consecutive odd integers. This is exactly what you would do with even integers too. It would be n plus 2, and n plus 4. So if it's odd or even, it doesn't really matter. So I hope that kind of makes sense. I'm going to stop the video here. I'm going to do this in 2 parts this time because this right here is defining variables in terms of another, and then consecutive integer problems. The remainder of this is getting into distance, rate, time problems, and so I'm going to keep that as a separate video. So I'll post that one in just 1 second.